Smugglers fight back with military weapons. Caribbean Sea, 17 miles northeast of Venezuelan coast. U.S. Coast Guard Law Enforcement Detachment 404 tracks suspicious vessel. Go fast boat, 30 feet long, triple outboard motors, riding low in water, classic smuggling profile. But this interdiction ends differently. The boat doesn't run, doesn't surrender, opens fire. Heavy automatic weapons, military-grade rifles, sustained bursts. Coast Guard cutter takes hits. Crew forced to defensive positions. Return fire authorized. 7 minutes of combat, at sea, in international waters, against smugglers armed like infantry. This wasn't standard interdiction, this was naval firefight. Which weapon poses greatest threat? A. Small arms, B. Heavy machine guns, C. RPGs. For 40 years, Coast Guard handled drug interdiction same way. Track suspicious vessel, intercept, board, search, arrest, seize cargo, process criminals. Standard law enforcement, maritime police work, dangerous but predictable. Venezuela changed everything. Under Nicolas Maduro's regime, military officials partnered with cartels, supplied weapons, provided protection, created narco-terrorist infrastructure, turned drug smuggling into military operation. At 6:14 a.m. Eastern, LEDET 404 attempted standard intercept procedure, hailed vessel over loudspeaker. U.S. Coast Guard, stop your vessel, prepare for boarding. Boat responded with gunfire. Muzzle flashes, tracer rounds, sustained automatic fire, not handguns, not hunting rifles, military weapons, AK pattern rifles, PKM machine guns, belt-fed, sustained fire capability. Coast Guard crew dove for cover. Bullets impacted bridge, penetrated hull, ricocheted off metal. This wasn't warning shots. This was combat. Stay with me, because what happened next changes drug war forever. The vessel carried 6 men, Venezuelan nationals, Tren de Aragua gang members, operating under Cartel de los Soles protection, armed with weapons from Venezuelan military stockpiles. Intelligence later confirmed 2 AK-103 rifles, 1 PKM machine gun, 1 RPG-7 launcher with 3 rockets, 2,000 rounds ammunition. Military-grade ordnance, not street weapons, not improvised arms, professional military equipment. Coast Guard returned fire, M240 machine guns, 50 caliber deck guns, suppressive fire, but go-fast boat maneuvered aggressively. Zigzag pattern, high speed, difficult target. The firefight lasted 7 minutes, seemed like hours. Bullets flying both directions, ocean spray, engine roar, chaos. Then air support arrived. MQ-9 Reaper drone, operating from Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, armed with AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, locked target, fired. Direct hit. Go-fast boat exploded. Fireball visible 5 miles. Debris scattered across 200 yards. No survivors. 11 dead. Drug cargo, 1,150 kilograms cocaine, worth $46 million wholesale. Weapons, enough to outfit military squad. This became September 2nd incident. First U.S. lethal strike against drug vessel. First acknowledged combat between Coast Guard and narco-terrorists. First public evidence of military armament. But not first encounter. Coast Guard documented 73 interdictions fiscal year 2024. In 27% of those, no drugs found. But weapons seizures increased 340%. Military-grade arms appearing regularly. Pattern clear. Venezuelan government supplying cartels with military weapons, creating armed narco-terrorist navy, challenging U.S. maritime law enforcement with military force. How much cocaine can go-fast boat carry? A. 500 kilo. B. 1 to 2 tons. C. 5 tons. Operation Southern Spear began August 2025. U.S. military buildup. Largest Caribbean presence since Cuban Missile Crisis 1962. 9 warships deployed. USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, USS Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group, Destroyer Squadron, Support Vessels. Mission: stop narco-terrorist vessels, disrupt Venezuelan drug pipeline, neutralize armed resistance. But rules of engagement changed. No longer simple interdiction. Now armed conflict. Military strikes authorized. Hellfire missiles, 30mm cannon fire, lethal force. September 15th, second strike, 3 killed, vessel destroyed. Weapons seized, 2 PKM machine guns, multiple AK rifles, grenades. September 19th, third strike, 3 killed. Dominican Republic assisted, joint operation, weapons recovered, military explosives, detonators, assault rifles. October saw escalation, multiple strikes, Caribbean and Pacific, 26 operations total by November, 95 dead, dozens of military weapons seized. Each boat similar profile, go-fast design, multiple engines, low radar signature, armed crews, military weapons, Venezuelan origin. Intelligence tracking identified pattern. Weapons came from Venezuelan military arsenals, specifically National Guard units, corrupt officers selling arms to cartels, Maduro regime facilitating or ignoring transactions. Tren de Aragua gang primary recipient, Cartel de los Soles providing access, military criminal fusion, government officials profiting, drug money flowing back to regime. Quantity or quality, which matters in naval drug war? Comment Q or L. The military armament fundamentally changed Coast Guard operations. Previously, boarding teams faced minimal resistance. Smugglers typically surrendered. Standard law enforcement. Now boarding teams face military threat. Crew must assume hostile fire. Approach procedures changed. Standoff distance increased. Heavy weapons coverage required. Coast Guard cutter standard armament. 50 caliber M2 machine guns, M240 7.62mm machine guns, small arms. Designed for warning shots, disabling fire, not sustained combat. Against PKM machine guns, RPG launchers, military rifles outgunned. Navy provided support. Destroyers escort cutters, provide overwatch, heavy weapons backup. But this stretches resources, ties up warships, expensive protection for police work. Air support became critical. MQ-9 Reapers deployed, armed with Hellfires, 10 missiles per drone, $100,000 $150,000 per missile. Operating from Puerto Rico, constant surveillance, strike capability. By December 2025, 9 Reapers operating Caribbean, maximum loadout, up to 10 Hellfires each, ready for immediate strike, changed engagement dynamic entirely. Smugglers, no drones watching, no missiles available, yet continued operations, continued fighting, because profits worth risk, because Venezuelan protection continued. Warfare Signal analyzed the economics. Cocaine wholesale value, $25,000 per kilogram. One go-fast carries 1 to 2 tons. That's $25 to $50 million per run. Pay crew $200,000 total. Lose 10 boats. Make money on 11th successful run. Math favors smugglers, until body count gets too high, until military weapons don't provide advantage, until Venezuelan support disappears. If you believe drug war requires military force, type Warfare Signal. The legal questions exploded. Coast Guard traditionally law enforcement, arrest authority, maritime police powers, not military combat operations. But September 2nd strike used military drone, fired military missile, killed targets without warning. No arrest, no trial. Lethal force first resort. Trump administration argued, cartels are terrorists. Tren de Aragua designated foreign terrorist organization. Armed conflict exists. Military force justified. Critics countered, no evidence of terrorism, just drug smuggling, extrajudicial killing, violation international law. War powers resolution applies. Congress divided. Republicans supported strikes. Democrats demanded evidence. Senator Rand Paul noted, 27% of Coast Guard interdictions find no drugs. How many strike victims were innocent fishermen? Venezuelan sources claimed casualties included civilians, fishing boat crews, not cartel members. U.S. killed innocents, committed murder. U.S. government provided no evidence, no published intelligence, no verification, just statements. Targets were narco-terrorists. Trust us. 2 bodies washed ashore Trinidad. Locals recognized one. Venezuelan national. Jailed 2020 for human trafficking. Known crime boss. Worked smuggling operations. But were other 10 dead criminals, or crew, or fishermen pressed into service? Unknown. The military armament proved one thing: somebody supplying sophisticated weapons. Not available commercially, not improvised, professional military equipment. Venezuelan military stockpiles contained thousands AK pattern rifles, hundreds machine guns, RPG launchers, all Soviet-era surplus, all available for corruption. Maduro's nephew arrested 2015, trying to smuggle 800 kilograms cocaine into U.S. using diplomatic credentials. Family directly involved trafficking. Multiple Venezuelan generals indicted U.S. courts. Narco-terrorism charges. Conspiracy to import cocaine. Evidence of systematic military involvement. Which cartel connection is most dangerous? A. Mexican cartels. B. Venezuelan military. C. Colombian suppliers. By November 2025, situation escalated beyond interdiction. U.S. imposed naval blockade. Oil tankers seized. Sanctioned vessels intercepted. Economic warfare. December 24th, CIA drone strike. Venezuelan territory. Marine facility hit. Dock where drug boats loaded. First land target. Major escalation. December 30th, 3-boat convoy struck. Killed 3. Others survived. Joint Task Force Southern Spear Operation. Military language. Military tactics. January 3, 2026. Maduro captured. U.S. military raid, Caracas, flown to New York, federal charges, narco-terrorism, conspiracy, weapons trafficking. The drug war became actual war. Military operations, lethal strikes, regime change, all justified as counter-narcotics. But underlying reality, smugglers armed with military weapons changed equation. Coast Guard couldn't handle alone. Navy support required. Air Force drones necessary. Full military commitment. Venezuela created narco-terrorist infrastructure. Military weapons to criminals. Government protection for cartels. Safe haven for operations. Result: maritime combat zones. Firefights at sea. Missile strikes on boats. Escalation toward conventional warfare. The September 2nd engagement proved concept. When smugglers shoot back with military weapons, law enforcement becomes insufficient. Military force becomes necessary. Coast Guard crew interviewed afterward described experience. Like combat zone, heavy fire, professional weapons. They fought like soldiers, not criminals. Other interdictions showed pattern. Vessels increasingly armed, resistance increasingly common, surrender rare, firefights expected. Training changed. Coast Guard boarding teams now receive combat training. Urban warfare tactics, room clearing, suppressive fire, military skills for police mission. Equipment upgraded, body armor, ballistic helmets, assault rifles, crew-served weapons, turning law enforcement into military force. Quiz answer: go-fast boats typically carry 1 to 2 tons cocaine. That's 2,000 kilograms worth $25 to $50 million wholesale. 3 questions for you. Should Coast Guard use military force against smugglers? Does Venezuelan military armament justify lethal strikes? What happens when drug war becomes actual war? The September 2nd firefight marked inflection point. Smugglers armed with military weapons. Coast Guard forced to respond militarily. Escalation became inevitable. Venezuela under Maduro created this situation, supplied weapons, protected criminals, enabled narco-terrorism. U.S. responded with military force, drones, missiles, lethal strikes, body count rising. But fundamental question remains: when does drug enforcement become war? Coast Guard crews face that reality daily. Intercept suspicious vessel. Unknown if armed. Unknown if hostile. Unknown if military trained. Every approach potentially combat. Every boarding potentially ambush. Every interdiction potentially firefight. This is new reality. Venezuelan military weapons changed drug war, made it deadly, made it military, made it war. Warfare Signal will continue tracking, analyzing, reporting. Because this story continues, escalation continues, combat continues. Subscribe to Warfare Signal, where drug war meets military reality. Hit that like button if this analysis opened your eyes. Drop your thoughts in comments. The Caribbean became combat zone. The Coast Guard became military force. The drug war became actual war. And Venezuela armed the enemy,